Welcome to the show. I'm Mary Gerasi, and today's topic is Bach. Yes, the man you all know and love. We have two folks with us here today to talk about the Bach's Birthday Bash. It's a little hard to say, a lot of alliteration. Beautiful program. This is the third year we've actually been working with the program and covering it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
On my left is Lynn Gackel from the Gulf Coast Youth Choir. She's the founder and artistic director. Welcome.
Thank you.
And right here is Mr. Van Howard from the American Guild of Organists.
Yes.
So we have a lot to talk about. Every year we do the Bach Birthday Bash, and it's been beautifully attended, amazing musicians. I think there's a misnomer that classical music is dead in this country. What would you say, Lynn?
I think that classical music isn't far from dead, and the more that we expose young people to that music, the further it becomes from being dead. And so classical music is alive and well. Many people love it, of all ages, and you only have to check the charts. You can see it being sold through CDs, and just wonderful opportunities for young people to participate. And we even do a Young Classics concert each year and have over 200 high school kids waiting to sing Vivaldi and Handel and John Rutter, a modern classic, but it's alive.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that earlier.
Yes.
The girls' chorus, beautiful, and young women from high schools and middle schools. And tell me about the Bach Birthday Bash. You kind of put the party together. You baked the cake, didn't you?
I did. I took on that role this year. This was our 9th annual Bach celebration that we do in Tampa every year. And we put it together with a variety this year of guest artists. For years we had done it with just local organists, which is fine, but we wanted to step it up this year, particularly in anticipation of our 10th year next year. So we brought in some variety. Bach didn't just do organ music, and so we brought in a choral element this year. We brought in other instruments beside the organ, handbells, violin, because we do it in 3 different churches downtown every year. So we also brought in, as kind of a headliner, the professor from University of Florida, Laura Ellis, to kind of open and close out our program this year. So yes, it's my job as sub-dean of the American Guild of Organists to put all of that together.
The birthday party specialist.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
the burning question, I need to know, why Bach? Bach is back. Bach is big. I mean, you had well-attended, full house where we were, and I know you did 3 other venues that were just well-received, lots of folks.
Right. Bach offers a lot in the classical music arena. Bach was a known church musician, organist, and he did such an amazing variety of music. It's been well cataloged, well documented through history, so it's very easy to put a program together around Bach. Everybody's heard of Bach, in various forms. He's been revered, made fun of, in whatever circle you can think of, and it just gives us a really convenient rail to run on every year. He wrote so much music that we can do program after program after program, and we never exhaust our resources.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, were there 2 Bachs? Was there a father, an elder?
Actually, in researching the family tree for our opening monologue at the Sacred Heart Church, there were a number of people in Bach's family tree that
Right.
were composer. His probably one of the better known is, of course, he is Johann Sebastian Bach. There was Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, who wrote a number of piano pieces. Johann Christian Bach,
Right.
one of his sons, and then in researching it on down to grandchildren, many of them were involved in music in various arenas.
So a very prolific family, and the family tree, everybody was just musically inclined and oriented, the greats.
Right.
And tell me about the girls' chorus. Beautiful, amazing songs. I was there directing it, which you'll see our segments that we have throughout the show. How do young women get involved in this program? Give me a little bit of information about that.
Well, the girls that I believe you videoed are members of our Gulf Coast Girl Choir, and those are 6th graders up through ninth graders. They come from a 4-county area, not just Hillsborough County, but also Pinellas and Pasco and Polk and Hernando. And they drive into Tampa. We meet at Lake Magdalene United Methodist Church for that choir on Tuesday night, just 2 hours a week. But this is for the young person that really loves singing, loves music, and wants to not just do one genre, because we sang Bach that night, but we do everything from the more contemporary pieces to classical pieces to romantic pieces, 20th century. We don't do a lot of pop, and because they get a lot of that on the radio and
no
through
Britney
their
Spears,
iPods.
thank God.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let Britney
No,
do that, right?
Not that they don't love it, and not that they don't sing it. It's just that's not the focus of our organization, and we really work toward training them vocally, giving them background in music theory, and basically the way they become involved is they simply audition, and we're holding auditions now, as a matter of fact, for that specific choir.
Okay, and I'll have information and websites if folks are interested and want to get a hold.
Yes.
So who's your typical candidate for something like that?
I think it's the child that for whom music, all types of music, just really makes their day. They love to sing. They love to be a part of a group that makes music. It has to be, I think, a young person that's willing to focus, because our rehearsals are 2 hours long, but they're sort of intense. They're fun, but they're intense. We really try to raise that bar, because I believe young people can do anything. I mean, to sing Bach, to sing those songs in German, you don't just do that, overnight. You have to have a determination. You have to have, these kids tend to be very bright. They're very articulate. They may major in music, but they may be doctors and lawyers, They might be parents that will love music so much that they will want to encourage their child to be a part of it. And that's how, you ask how classical music stays alive. That's how it does it. And so these are, I think, though, highly motivated young people. And they come from families that may be musical and may not be musical. But the one thing is, I think most of their parents realize the importance of music in their lives.
Thank you.
educational background is in math and computer science, and the relationship between music and mathematics is unmistakable. With the meters, the rhythms. When you go into the realm of the organ, it explodes in terms of math because of the pitch levels of the organ are basically all powers of 2, and you have to understand what all of that means to know what sound to expect when you pull out the stops on an organ. You have to know what sound to expect to be appropriate to play and accompany a choir or play and accompany an orchestra. And to manage all of those resources effectively, a mathematical background is helpful. And to your point, I think that music, Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, the composers that in my mind are more well structured than perhaps some of the Romantic music, I cannot possibly conceive of the two being divorced. And I believe that there's a strong rhetorical evidence that exposing children to that type of music strengthens many of their other educational skills, their ability to think logically, their math skills, and many other areas.
Yeah, and it's help me with this. Is the misnomer that it's extremely complicated? How do you approach something maybe as complex as classical music for young people that may be 10 or 11 years old? How do you make it fun? How do you integrate the girls in the chorus into something that might be intimidating? To me, it might be intimidating.
Well, first off, we never tell them how hard it is. We
You have
simply
to edit
say,
this out of the show. I'm sorry. You're not listening. Stop.
we simply, I think that a good teacher is a good salesman. And I think that when we approach the music with, you're going to love this, this is such awesome music.
Exciting.
And it's exciting, and we approach it from, we help them take that music and look at it from the standpoint of form. Which sections are like, which ones are different, how are they different? Yes, there's a mathematical component to that, but also just a linguistic one. Just to, the first thing is for a child to say, you want me to sing in German? But after they spend a little time with the German, they realize, oh, I can do that. And we define those words and we translate them. And then they begin to see root words and they begin to make connections for themselves, which, by the way, carry over into lots of other things in their lives.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, they're very, very proud of what they've done. And it becomes a sense of accomplishment. And it's like, I can do this. And I think the main thing is that you tell a child, there is no I can't. You can. You can do anything you put your mind to. And I think that positive type of environment is what just sort of, they sort of just come along with us, We just simply say, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And they just, it's amazing. They just sort of go with us.
Yeah, that's a lot of structure and a lot of information. I mean, I think our society has given up on our young people in a lot of ways. They say a lot of negative things about our young folks, and obviously not true in your case. When you see an 11-year-old singing in German, classical music, to me that's life-affirming, and it's a very positive experience.
Definitely.
And you are thinking about a boys' chorus, is that correct?
I would love to see a boys' chorus in Tampa, perhaps as part of this organization. I think that that's something that is a component that's probably lacking in a number of young men's lives, because it teaches so much more. Music teaches so much more than music. It teaches you confidence, it teaches you poise, it teaches you social skills that you can take with you the rest of your life. And I think that is lacking in a number of America's youth today, particularly young men.
Yeah. And it's funny that, in my lifetime, I've seen like Ozzy Osbourne and all these guys, these rock stars, they're all classically music trained. They've played classical music since they were 6 years old. They bring out their guitar riffs like Slash from Kiss, and he could play the most beautiful Spanish classical guitar. What do you think? I mean, is there a sense of encouragement for kids that you can start in classical and basically blast off in any direction? Is that true?
I think for classical music, and I'll speak specifically to
Sure.
singing, that's where a lot of technique is taught. That's where diction, production of use of the breath, management of the breath, placement, resonance, all of those things that we utilize in stylized singing, which jazz is, which contemporary rock music. That's a type of stylized singing. If a child can do the basics, the trained, more classical type of singing, my daughter's a good example. She can sing classically, but she loves to sing jazz. She loves to sing. She likes hip hop. She likes it all. And I think that it's a foundational technique from which everything else sort of stems.
Splits off of it,
It
doesn't
spins
it?
off. And I think that there is, at the same time, an appreciation for an eclecticism toward music. The music's not just one thing. Even classical music, Bach dances. I mean, when those young people start singing those little runs and the melismas of that music, it is exciting because there's energy there. There's lots of life to that music. It's not just dead music. It's very much alive and very exciting.
I'm so glad that organizations such as yours are really keeping this tradition alive, and that's why we're doing the show today. Give me a little more information about your society and why, how people can get interested as volunteers. Do you need some help? Do you need some financial backing? I mean, what can we do to keep these organizations alive?
The American Guild of Organists is a national organization in the United States. It's based in New York City. Our chapter is a local chapter, so we're not really an independent organization in that sense, but we do exist to promote and educate people about the organ. We also branch into choral techniques. Many organists in many churches also direct the choir from the console, so the two are inevitably linked together. People can get involved. They can contact us. We have a website. We have email contact. We're approaching our annual renewal. It's a yearly membership thing, and you get a national magazine. We have an ever-increasing number of chapter events. Our dean, Nancy Callahan, and I have worked very hard to try to pump up the number of events and quality.
Not to interrupt, but I will, because I'm
Yes.
pushy like that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Tell me about some of these events. What would a typical event be if I'm going to join your organization? What would I get to enjoy?
We have usually one or two headliner recitals and workshops a year. We just this last weekend had Marilyn Kaiser in to do a recital and a workshop. We do that twice a year. We have some social events where we get together and just network, talk about, share ideas and things like that. We do an event every year for children where we bring them in. We
Okay.
bring in piano students. We introduce them to the organ, feed them pizza, which they love. We also offer,
So
and
do
this
I.
is something that we would really encourage the community to take advantage of. We have a scholarship competition every year for promising piano students where we will fund organ lessons for them to get started, to see how they like it. It's really nice because it's kind of a no-risk financially opportunity to let a piano student that has had a number of years of piano branch off into the organ if they see fit. So we would love to have people get involved. We have full memberships. We have special memberships for students. We have what's called a chapter friend membership if you just want to kind of hang on and come to the events and
enjoy, yeah.
and enjoy it. So yes, there are a number of options available. We have conventions every year. This year the national convention is in June in Minneapolis. They're every other year, and then the regional events are in the off years. The next regional event is actually going to be in our area in Sarasota in the early months of 2010.
Well,
So,
busy group.
busy group. We would like to see more organists involved. There's so much that we can learn from one another. In the different churches that we play in, we're often required, depending on our church service, our worship style, to do some things that are a little bit innovative with the organ, and I fear that some have just given up in the face of contemporary
Yeah.
music and things like that.
It's tough,
And
yeah,
you really don't have to do that. And we've got such a incredible resource of talent here in the Bay Area for people to get together and share ideas. We're just trying to promote that.
Yeah, and I'm going to get right back to you, Lynn. Last question. If I am interested in learning to play the organ, just maybe a lifelong student and be interested, if I joined your organization, are there folks who give classes, or can you hook up with actually learning how to play, or your child can learn how to play from scratch one?
Yes.
Can you hire a tutor?
Yes, we have teachers.
Good.
We have churches that will make their instruments available for practice. You know, people do put organs in their homes, but that's not
Okay.
not incredibly common.
Right.
We have places for them to practice if they need to practice.
It's a full support.
Yeah.
There's no reason you can't learn.
Right.
There's no reason you can't bring a child. And similarly to your organization, tell me a little bit more about your organization. You have more than just the group we saw today. Tell me about
That's correct.
the various
That's correct.
groups that you have with your chorus.
Our organization is 15 years old this year. We've been in.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we have almost 200 young people that are currently involved in the program. We have a total of 5 choirs. The group that you heard is our intermediate girls choir. We do have a high school girls choir. We have a high school mixed choir, mixed ensemble, boys and girls. We have a children's choir.
Wow.
That is wonderful, grades 3 up through 6. We have even a cadet choir for the little ones. It's a non-auditioned group, but these choirs are just they're just wonderful. And we just had our spring sing at the Performing Arts Center, and it was just a wonderful experience to watch, and you really get a sense of how that young voice develops from listening to the real young ones
Every
all
step
the
of the
through.
way.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And we have 18 seniors that are leaving us this year. year. And out of those 18, 5 will go to be music majors from all over the Southeast. And many have scholarships, and one's going to Boston College and full ride scholarships and presidential scholars. And these are just awesome young people that happen to love music as well.
Are you waiting for one to make it to the Met?
Well, you never know. You never know.
One of your offspring, the birds that fly the nest.
You
right?
never
You feel a little
know.
maternal about
That's
it?
exactly right. I do feel
You must
very
be
maternal.
very proud.
I'm very proud of them. Last year we were in China. Our oldest groups do tour. This next year we'll be in Vienna. And I've been asked to serve as the artistic director for the Haydn Youth Chorale. And so our choirs will go along with about 8 more choirs from throughout the United States. And we will sing at the concert house and do a little bit of Haydn as well as some of American music and even some gospel, because that's something that the German audiences love. But our young people, they, as I said, they come from so many different areas, but they really, I think, go back out into their schools and they serve as leaders in their own choral programs. And I think that that's a real positive thing, because I do a lot of work with our public schools. I believe very strongly in public school music. I also teach at the University of South Florida and in the music education department there. And so I have interns that come out and work with our students too. Gives them a wonderful opportunity to work with all ages.
Mentorship
And so
for older folks
mentorship.
to mentor
And
the
so
children,
it's all a big a part of the big whole, you
Sure,
know.
for sure.
And so from our students at USF to work with these young people and then to in turn go into the public schools is a wonderful step for them as well. And so I just think that our young people at Gulf Coast give our students at USF an awesome opportunity, because even last year we had some of our alums that are now graduates of USF and teaching music in the county, came back to conduct for us and conducted our students. And it's so neat and rewarding to see that come full circle.
I bet that is.
That these students that used to be this stage are now teachers and bringing more students into a love of music, all types of music.
Wow, and you know, this is like a little secret that I didn't know about. I've been here 30 years, and I thought I knew everything about Tampa, and I'm so glad you were able to share all
Well,
this.
I'm glad we were too, because you're right. It is a little, and people go, "I never knew that,"
Yeah,
and
I didn't.
it's something we want to get this word out, because there are some awesome young people in this community, and you're right. Sometimes that things are not said that build them up and really show how they really are. And I think this is one. There's many of them actually, but this is one organization where they do shine.
And
Mary.
thank you
Thank
for
you for
joining
having
us.
us.
And we're going to go to some of the events from Bach's Birthday Bash 2008.